Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here for our final story hour for this summer. Before we get started, please take a moment to locate your chat bar and Q&A button. If you have any questions, please put them in there. We'd love to have you be a part of the conversation today. Our story time today is with Lisa Hendey. Lisa Hendey, she lives in Los Angeles and she founded CatholicMom.com. She's been a longtime friend and Paraclete author. And in fact, this story time for kids was one of her wonderful ideas that comes out of her great love for kids and family. She's the author of many books, including I Am Earth's Keeper, I Am God's Storyteller, and today's story, I'm a Saint in the Making. I'm a Saint in the Making reminds children of their unique call from God to be saints, and he gives us examples of ways to do that. Some of the saints we will learn about are Pope John Paul II, Mother Teresa, Augustus Tolton, and more. Thank you so much for being here today, Lisa. It's awesome to have you. It's so nice to see you.
Hi,
Would you be
Olivia.
willing to share with us why you wrote this book?
Oh, this is such a wonderful project. It was my second book with Paraclete, and really, I wrote it because I'd been already sharing this message in classrooms around the country through my Chime Travelers books. I would visit classrooms and share those books, which are they're novels, they're fiction for my kids out there. That means it's a made up story. But I spent a lot of time talking about the saints and how you and I are not saints yet, Olivia. We're waking every day hoping to be saints when someday. But I found that it was a message that I was sharing over and over again, and just decided with Paraclete friends to write this book.
We're so happy because we love this book. Um, Thank you so much for being here. And would you be willing to read? Now, this book has a lot of words in it, but would you be willing to read some of
Right.
it for us?
Yeah, actually, in your introduction, you mentioned some saints that are mentioned in the book, but today we're only going to read a little bit of the book because we don't have too much time. So I hope that what you hear of the book today might encourage you to want to get it, to bring it into your home or classroom, or maybe check it out at the library. So I would be very honored to share it. If it's okay with you, Olivia, I'm just going to bring up my computer screen and do it that way. So
Oh,
well,
that's
you can
great.
see the book right there. Are you able to see the book on the
Yes,
screen?
that's awesome. We can see that.
Terrific. Terrific. Well, let me pull it up. Um, this book is called I'm a Saint in the Making, and it was written by me, Lisa Hendey, and illustrated by my very good friend, Katie Broussard. I hope when we have our question and answer that Olivia might ask a question about Katie. But here we go with our story. God has a mission for me. I'm a saint in the making. What does that mean? It means that although I'm small, God has an important mission for me. God loves me so much that long before I was born, he sent his son Jesus to save me and to teach me to love and serve our world. Guess what? God loves you that much too. That's why you are also a saint in the making. So, what should we do? It's our turn to be saints in the making. In small ways, every day we have the chance to share God's love with everyone we meet. We listen with our ears to hear the cries of someone who is sad. We look with our eyes to notice a friend who is being treated unkindly. We speak with our mouths to share words that are just and true. We touch with our hands to hug a friend who is hurt or to feed someone who is hungry. Being a saint in the making, oh my goodness, I can't see my screen. Sorry. Being a saint in the making means trying every day to grow in holiness. I love to read the stories of the saints who came before me and to learn from their examples. I love to share my love of Jesus with my friends and family. Do you always like going to church? Sometimes we might think it's only a boring place for grown-ups, but I know that really our church is a home for saints in the making. I try to remember that it's not just a place where we go on Sundays, but a special place to visit with Jesus all week long. I love to go inside our church for a few quiet minutes just to say hi to Jesus. God reminds me that prayer is a saint's special way of talking with him. And I can talk with God in prayer any time of the day and in any place. Being a saint in the making also means that I need to keep my body strong and pure. When I eat healthy meals, sleep well, and exercise, I train my body to be strong so that I'll be ready for any mission God gives me. Caring for the body God gave me means treating my body with respect and love. God gave me a body to help others. Being a saint in the making means noticing when someone around me needs help and acting with generosity. I help people who may need food or shelter by doing extra chores for my parents or neighbors. I donate the money I earn to charities in my community that provide clothing, groceries, and help to families who need assistance. Our family makes better choices to buy fewer things so that we'll have extra resources to help families in other parts of the world have clean water, good education, and safe homes. God asks me to share the gifts I have with our world. Being a saint in the making means caring for God's beautiful creation. I love to feed my pets and take them for walks in our neighborhood. Our family recycles and tries to conserve water. We grow vegetables and fruit in our garden and care for the trees in our community. God made me a caretaker of our world. Being a saint in the making means looking for special ways to share extra love with those who are hurting or tired or lonely. Sometimes loving is easy, but sometimes it takes extra patience and understanding. I look for the friend in my class who's been bullied and ask him to play with me. I visit my grandma at her nursing home and draw pictures for her to decorate her walls. I hug my dad when he comes home from a long day at work and thank him for taking such good care of our family. I give an extra smile to the woman I see on the street corner or at the market. God made my heart big enough to love anyone. Being a saint in the making means looking for ways to share God's story with everyone I meet. I learned God's story at church, in the Bible, and by listening to my parents and teachers. I share my love for God with my words, with songs, or even with dancing and games. God gave me a huge imagination and special talents to be his storyteller. Even though I'm a saint in the making, sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I am mean, impatient, or unkind. Sometimes I don't listen to my parents or I make a bad choice. If I do something wrong or hurt someone's feelings, I try to make things better and say, I'm sorry to God and to the person I have hurt. God loves me so much that even when I mess up, he always forgives and loves me. I try to remember every day when I wake up that I'm on a special mission, a mission to be a saint in the making. Would you like to be a part of that mission too? Don't be afraid. Jesus taught us the way, and God has given us every gift we need to live a life for him and for others. I'm a saint in the making, and you are too. Our world is waiting for us. Let's go.
Thank
Well,
you so much,
Olivia,
Lisa.
thank
That was
you.
amazing.
Can I do a couple of shout outs to friends that are in the
Yes,
webinar with us
please.
today? Would that be so awesome? I want to say first of all, hello to little Aiden, who I think might be watching us today. And I'd also like to say hello to my good friend Martha, who's one of the greatest saints in the making that I know. And I especially want to say a very, very big shout out to my friends in Mrs. Gilman's class at St. Margaret Mary in Nebraska. You guys are awesome saints in the making.
That's amazing to have so many friends here with us.
It's
Um,
awesome.
Now, Lisa, can I ask you some questions?
Sure, that'd be great.
Well, you mentioned right before we started reading that you wrote this book, but you illustrated it with your friend Katie. Can you tell us more about your friend Katie?
Yeah, Katie is an awesome saint in the making too. And Katie and I didn't really know each other very well, but we had something very special, and that's that we both went to the same university. We both graduated from the University of Notre Dame. I'm a lot older than Katie, so I went there before she did. But I found out about her artwork because she had written another book. It's called Audacious Ignatius. And when that book came out, I loved it so much. So when I was talking with my friends at Paraclete about writing this book, I'm an author, but not an illustrator. So we started to talk about who will be the illustrator that might draw the pictures for this book. And I remembered Katie's amazing artwork. And I said to them, oh my goodness, if Katie would be available, I would love for her to do this book. And so she was free to do the book. And so she did all of the pictures for it. And one really special thing is that, Olivia, maybe you can hold up the page that we read about being inside the church and talking to God. It's sort of a dark inside of the church page. That is actually Katie's church that she was going to at the time that she illustrated this book. And so she would take her sketchbook and her paints and go different places and paint. And she still loves to paint outside, but she painted that beautiful picture of her church.
That is so special. I love the illustrations in this book. One of my favorite illustrations from this book, for those who have the book and are reading along at home, is this map with all the saints on it.
Yes, I love that page too. And it's really meant to show you that our saints are everywhere in the world. That we it's I think one of the reasons that I love so much like learning about the stories of the saints because they all come from different places and lived in different times and had different lives. And some of them were very well educated, and many were priests and religious sisters and brothers, but lots of them were just ordinary people who even sometimes messed up in their lives but did amazing things.
Do you have a favorite saint?
Well, I do have a few favorite saints. One of them is St. Patrick. My daddy was named Patrick, and I have a very big devotion to St. Patrick. Any of my friends out there who might have read my Chime Travelers book, the very first book, it's called The Secret of the Shamrock, is about St. Patrick. And it's kind of funny, like a lot of people say, well, why that? Why is that your favorite saint? Because St. Patrick is a man. But one thing about St. Patrick is that he loved to share his love for God. And he had a really kind of naughty childhood and teenage years. He was living in a very wealthy family, but he didn't really, even though his parents were faithful people, he didn't really have that for himself. And it wasn't until he was actually kidnapped and taken away to be a slave, a shepherd in Ireland, that he found God's love. And then he loved God so much that he gave the rest of his life, even after he won his freedom, to share his love for God and for Jesus with other people. And he was a great storyteller, and I love stories. So I think that's one of the reasons that I love St. Patrick so much. But he's one of my favorites. How about you, Olivia? Do you have a favorite saint?
Oh gosh. I hmm, I really like Saint Teresa of Avila. I've always
She's
admired
an
her.
she's an amazing one and a great storyteller too.
Yes, I love reading what she has to say. I thought, I think she's very funny and very practical, and I just admire her as a holy woman. Um, I guess now that we're talking about favorite saints, I know we have a lot of younger friends here today. So my next question, I guess, would be, are there any, like, how old do you have to be be a saint? Do you have to be an old person to be a saint, or are there any kid saints?
Well, that's a great question. I do want to say for our friends that are listening, I think we have the chat open. So if you have a question, we're going to have some time for questions and answers. So if you have a question, pop it into, especially Mrs. Gilman's class. Maybe she'll give you an extra long recess if you ask a question today. So, um, you know, so there in the Catholic Church, there's a formal process for becoming canonized, which is the way that the church actually names formally people who we call saints. And there's a big long process for that. And so certainly somebody who's a saint, we believe that they are very, very close to God in heaven, and we believe that they hear our prayers, and that they are so close to God that they can whisper those prayers to God, and help him to know what our needs are. Um, you don't have to be a grown up to be a saint, and there are many children who unfortunately died at young ages, that found their way to sainthood. There's a new saint who's being talked about quite a lot in the Catholic Church, and his name is Carlo. And he was actually a very young teenager when he passed away, unfortunately, of an illness, but he loved God so much. And he also loved doing things like playing Pokemon and using his computer to build websites. And one thing that he did in his life was to actually use his computer skills to spread his love for God. And he made big websites about a lot of miracles that told people all about Jesus and Mary. And so the church has decided that Carlo's life was so amazing. He is on his path to being a saint and will be a saint very soon. And there are other children who are saints too, that their hearts were so close to Jesus. A lot of people that we know in our life, we consider them to be saints. The church may not call them saints. Like my mom, I know that my mom is a saint in heaven now. She's with God. She's not formally called Saint Anne, but we call her that in our family.
That is very special. And that's so interesting about that young Carlo being a modern day saint. Sometimes I
Yes.
think we think of saints as living a long time ago, but they're here and now.
And that,
Um,
actually, that's one of the special things about, you mentioned two saints that are mentioned in I'm a Saint in the Making. We didn't read about them today, but St. John Paul II, and also Mother Teresa of Calcutta, St. Mother Teresa. And both of them are saints that we have. You can go on YouTube and watch videos of them speaking and doing their good works. And it's an amazing thing now with the technology that we have, that in the past we had to wait for a book to be written about a saint, or somehow to hear their story. But now there are people doing amazing things with technology, and we can learn the stories of people not only who are saints that have gone to heaven, but saints in the making now that are doing amazing things that inspire and help other people.
so if they're tracking how people are becoming saints in the making, how can we become saints in the making? What are things we can do?
Well, I think we talk about it a little bit in the book. The first thing is that we wake up every day with a heart to love and serve God, and to love and serve the people around us. And I don't know about you, Olivia, but first thing when I wake up in the morning, I'm always a little bit sleepy. But the first thing that I try to do before I get out of bed is to say one simple prayer, and that's, yes, God. Yes, God, I'm giving you my yes. And that means that everything that comes after my waking up in that day is a prayer. I may not be down on my hands and knees praying, but the work that I do is a prayer. My gratitude for the food that I eat, or the house that I live in, or the friends that I have is a prayer. The way I care for my husband when I'm doing his laundry or keeping our house clean, the work that I do when I'm writing a new book, or I'm doing something on my computer is my prayer. So all through the day, I'm praying. And in I'm a Saint in the Making, we talk about those simple things like praying, first of all, giving our hearts to God. If we love someone, we want to talk with them, right? So that's what we do in prayer. Um, Using the gifts that we have to help other people. A lot of us live in communities where we can actually even see people who are unhoused, or people who go hungry. And when we share the gifts that we have to help those people, that's a way of being a saint in the making. I mentioned in the book, caring for creation. Certainly, being Earth's keeper and caring for the world that God gave us means things like taking care of our gardens, caring for the pets that live in our homes, or caring for the earth around us. So those are some simple things that you and I can do. Can you think of something, Olivia?
I liked what you said in the story about drawing pictures for your grandma's nursing home wall,
Yeah.
um, or thanking your dad when he comes home from a long day at work. I think, being grateful is a big one, showing your appreciation to others who care for you. You were talking about your mom and how, she's not formally a saint recognized by the church where they call her Saint Anne, but I think so many of us have people in our lives that are like saints to us, in the ways that they teach us and they help us. And I think we can all be grateful to have those people in our lives.
Absolutely. Two of them are with us today for me. Certainly my friend Martha. She's a friend that I've known for a very long time, since our kids, who are now very, very grown up adults, were little children. And my friend, Mrs. Gilman, are people that I can look at. And I know that they're there for me. If I need help, I can turn to them and ask them to say a prayer for me. I know that if I ask them if I was in need for something, that they would be there for me. And really, that's what Jesus taught us to be for each other. When he was going with his disciples to spread the good news of the gospel, he continually said, love one another, right? And so that's what we friends do. That's what we saints in the making do. We try our best to love one another.
Now, you've written another book that's sort of like I'm a Saint in the Making, but this one's called Saints Like Me, which I have here also with us today. It's got the same illustrator. So what's this book about?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny with that book that Saints Like Me. So I'm a saint in the making. We read you about 1/3 of the book today, so it takes a little bit longer to read. But we found that a lot of bigger kids were wanting to share this message with their little brothers and sisters, and so we wanted to do a board book that would be this message of I'm a saint in the making, but with a lot fewer words. And so that's what that book is, and it's a simple book. A little brother or sister can chew on it and take it to mass, and do all kinds of things with it. And you could even, if you're a third grader, read this one out loud to your little brother or sister, because there aren't quite as many words in it. So it has the main messages, but also it's a little bit shorter.
Healthy. And Lisa's going to try and jump back on here. I know that she's traveling at the moment, and so she might be running into some issues with her internet. So, oh, here she comes. I think she's coming back on. Let's see if we can see
Sorry
her.
about
Oh,
that.
there
You might
she
be able to
is.
tell that I'm in a hotel room today. And so, yeah, I think my computer decided to go off for a few minutes, but I'm
No
back.
worries, it was all good. And you're back. We were just talking about some of the saints that have gone before us. You mentioned Saint Patrick, as being one of your favorite saints, and I was talking about Saint Teresa of Avila. But are there any other saints that we should, ask our parents that we should learn more about? If we want to learn more about saints, where should we start?
Yeah, so there's a few different things that you can do. One thing is think about your name. So my name is Lisa, which is actually a name that's similar to Elizabeth. My name actually is derived from Elizabeth. Saint Elizabeth is in the Bible. We know that when Mary found out that she was going to be the mother of Jesus, that she traveled to visit her relative Elizabeth and to help take care of her, because she was expecting a baby too, John the Baptist, who is also a saint. So when I might ask about saints, my name is Lisa Elizabeth Marie, which is also related to Mary, which is the first and most beautiful saint. So you might think about your name, and you might ask mom and dad, why was I named for Saint, I'm sure there's a Saint Olivia or something close to that. My friend Martha, there's definitely a Saint Martha. my friend Mrs. Gilman, her first name is Barbara, St. Barbara. So you might ask about your name. You might also ask about important dates in your life, like your birthday, because every canonized saint in the church actually has what we call a feast day, a day when they are celebrated. And a lot of times you can find out who the saint was that celebrated on your actual birthday. So one of my favorite saints, he's not celebrated on my birthday, but St. Anthony of Padua is very near to my birthday. And so I'm always very excited when it's his feast day. I love him very much. He's an awesome saint. And also I know my birthday is coming soon when it's his feast day. So
Well, today's a saint day, and it's a day where we celebrate your middle name, Saint Mary.
yeah, it is. It's a very important day for the church, and it's a day when we remember how amazing Saint Mary is. So
Well, thank you so much for reading for us today, Lisa. It was great to hear your story. And it's always nice to talk with you. It was and lovely to see you. For
yeah,
those of us watching, thank you for being here today, and thank you if you've been coming to these all summer. We've been so glad to have you. It's been a really great time to host this series, and we hope you've enjoyed, hearing all of our different authors. Lisa's story today was "I'm a Saint in the Making," and it's a companion book for your little brother or sister is Saints Like Me. Both of these books can be found on the Paraclete Press website. They're on special today for 15% off. Um, Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here. It's great to see you, and thank you for the inspiration for this series.
I want to say thank you to you and to all my friends at Paraclete and to the friends that came out to listen to the story today. You're getting ready to start a new school year, whether you're in a classroom or going to be homeschooling this year. And I want you to know that I'm going to be praying for you. And I ask you to please pray for me and for Olivia and all of us so that we can continue to make stories for you. And I want to say thank you to you for coming today.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll see you at some other time. And
God
thanks for
bless
everybody for
everybody.
being here. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.